So on with my presentation. What I would like to do over the next half hour or so is basically give you all a sense of what our organization is. And I think the best way for us to do that is really to give you a history of the Master Gardener program, a history of cooperative extension, and then also talk about some of the agencies or the organizations within the University of California that we interact. So what I'm going to do, and why I gave you the notes page, is that I'm going to give you a lot of information, and some of it I'm just going to touch on. Especially as we get towards the end, we're going to be looking at some websites for different departments within the university. What I would like to do as we get to that point is maybe highlight a few things that I'd like you to then, in your off time, to then start to do your own research. So that being said, what I titled my presentation today is the ins and outs of the UCC, SDC, MGP, and the MGA SDC. Ooh, there's a typo in there. Did everybody see that typo in there? Okay, well, we'll fix that one. What I'd like to do is start with the history of the organization. So this is basically what I'm going to do. We're going to give a history of the organization. Then I'd like to give you the mission statement for our program here in San Diego. We want to talk about some resources. We're going to look at communication, specifically related to some of the departments within the university. And then I want to talk a little bit about some policies, procedures, and some of the expectations that we have for you as members of the new class. Okay? Any questions before we get started? Okay. How many of you are familiar with cooperative extension, the University of California, and the Department of Agriculture and Natural Resources? Okay, maybe you're looking at maybe 30-35%. What I'd like to do is kind of give you a little bit of a history about our organization and where we've come from and how we've developed here in San Diego County. We are part of the University of California. The University of California is the land-grant institution here in the state of California. I believe it was in 1862 through the Morrill Act. There was a congressional act that established the development of land-grant institutions within each state of the United States. And then in 1866, they started the designing of the University of California, specifically the University of California, Berkeley. And in 1868, UC Berkeley opened up, and that was the land-grant institution here in the state of California. Very similar to other land-grant institutions across the country, Penn State, Colorado State, Texas A&M. These are the land-grant institutions within each one of those states. The concept behind that is to create institutions that would then be able to get information out to or do research and development with, well, enough said on that. The next stage, or the next piece that's important for us to know is that in 1914, there was the Smith-Lever Act was passed as a federal bill. And what this did is actually created cooperative extension across the nation. Basically what it said is that the land-grant institutions in California, the University of California, would create a cooperative extension office in each county of their state. And then through those cooperative extension offices, they would be staffed with academics from the university that would do research and do outreach to the community. They basically would be serving the communities that they're in. Now, that date, 1914, may make you think that, and you're right, we're coming up on our 100th anniversary. In fact, this year we're celebrating our centennial celebration here in cooperative extension in California. San Diego County was actually one of the first cooperative extension programs created. And I'm not exactly sure the exact date, but I want to say that it was in March. In May of this year, we're actually going to be having a statewide cooperative extension celebration. So that's something that we'll be keeping you all informed about. And each one of the cooperative extension offices will be doing things like this. I'm going to talk more about our specific office and what we actually have here in San Diego that you as Master Gardeners can utilize for the work that you're going to be doing. So that created cooperative extension. Now, Master Gardener program is part of the cooperative extension, but it developed very differently here in California. It actually developed as more of a grassroots type organization within the university. And in the mid-1980s, I want to say it was early 1980s, 2 pilot projects started in California. One of them was in Sacramento, and one of them was in Riverside. And they basically had home horticulture advisors within those 2 county departments saw the Master Gardener program that was taking place in the Pacific Northwest, in Oregon, and in Washington, and they wanted to replicate that here in San Diego, or in California. So the first 2 started in Riverside and in Sacramento. At that point in time, there was a home hort advisor here in San Diego. His name was Vince Lozano. He's actually the individual that just retired 2 years ago, that when Vince was going out, I was coming in to this program, that Vince thought, that's something that I would like to do. I'd like to I've got all these home horticulture questions that are coming through our office. They're really not appropriate for the commercial advisors to address, so I'm going to go ahead and create this program. So in 1983, he held the first class of Master Gardeners here in San Diego County. There were 30 individuals in that class, and since then, I believe I've got this figure right, we've had 17, or you're the 17th additional class that we've had of Master Gardeners that have come through the program. Out of that 30 individuals that participated in that first class 30 years ago, we still have 3 individuals that are extremely active in our program. So that's really, I think it really says something for the Master Gardener program as a whole. So that was what happened in 1983. Now, as I mentioned, the programs were very much grassroots, and they took on an identity of what was taking place within that county, and they really developed addressing the needs of what was taking place in the county. And they developed depending on the attributes that were part of their organization. And in the early 90s, we had a Master Gardener who was very active with 501c3 organizations, nonprofit organizations. And she recommended to Vince Lozano at that point that we might want to think about incorporating the Master Gardeners as a 501c3. And so we went through the paperwork, and we are actually one of the only 4 Master Gardener programs in the state of California that have this status. And the university has actually changed its policies and its regulations since then, that there will not be anymore. And there was actually a point in time, don't get scared about this, but there was a point in time where the university was actually thinking about eliminating that status, but they've grandfathered us in, and we are going to be remaining as a 501c3 status. So that's why, let's back up here. Yeah, that's why we are the University of California, San Diego County Master Gardener program, established in 1983, and we are the San Diego, or the Master Gardener Association, here's my typo, of the San County Diego, okay? San Diego. We'll get that fixed. I've only given this presentation about a half a dozen times, and I never caught that before. Dyslexic, it's an issue, okay? So that's why we're actually 2 separate organizations. Now, we function as one organization. Our board of directors that sits on the, that serves the Master Gardeners are actually the board of both of those organizations. There's not a separation, but we are, and I'm going to talk a little bit, I've got a slide in here a little bit later that is going to talk about some of the unique things that we are able to do as Master Gardeners in San Diego County compared to some of the other counties a little bit later in the presentation. So I'll cover that then. Now here's the really interesting thing, if you ask me. These programs started throughout the state in the 80s, went we've had a couple of them become nonprofit organizations. Then in 2006, this is how many years later is that? 23 years later, the university thought, we need to have a statewide Master Gardener program. We've already been functioning for decades, but in 2006, we started a Master Gardener program on a statewide level. And I'll talk a little bit more about them as well as we get a little bit into the program. Shoot. I always forget, there's a red star and I can't remember what that is.
It's important.
Something happened in the 80s. Oh, that's right. That was the other important University of California thing that happened in the 80s. Scott Parker graduated from UC Davis with his BS in agricultural education. Yeah, what was that about the BS?
Nothing.
I told you. So this is being Chancellor Myers during graduation. So that's a little bit of a history of our organization, just to give you an idea of where we come from. We are the University of California. Everything we do is University of California related, scientifically based, but we are also a nonprofit organization. So that gives you, any questions about that? Yes, ma'am.
Why did they stop granting nonprofit status or applying?
Wonderful question. Why did the University of California decide that the nonprofit status was something that they didn't want to support or they wanted to move away from that? Anybody got any ideas? The liability. The liability that this organization that the University of California couldn't 100% control existed. So, and you'll see where that comes. It's how the program is managed. I think we've done an extremely good job. I think the university has actually looked at our program. They've looked at the other 3 programs throughout the state, and they understand the benefits that are derived from that, but they don't want to extend that any further because of the liability issues.
It does get in the way of development opportunities and getting able to get other people's money.
I ain't going there. Question to that?
What is the county's responsibility? I know if you're working with them, do they have financial, do they add money to you? Or is it
Actually,
building or what?
very good question. What's the county's responsibility? And I'll just give you a little bit of see, it's a good thing you went short because I can talk forever. I'll give you a little bit of the short story of the way that our program has actually developed over the last couple decades. The cooperative extension offices are supported on a federal level by the USDA. Typically that funding or that support comes through funding of grants and research projects that the academics within our programs work on. Then on a state level, it's support through the land grant institution, and basically that comes from, once again, funding for different projects and funding for the staff that work within the program. So all of the individuals that work for cooperative extension in San Diego County, and this wasn't always the case, but it's developed into this, are University of California employees. So everyone that you'll see that you've met as you've gone through the program reps, the staff research assistants, the advisors, they're all University of California employees, where you are now basically considered University of California employees as volunteers. Now, what do we get from the county? The county actually gives us a lot of support. They used to, the way it was set up before is that they would give us facilities, they would give us vehicles, they would give us some support staff. But what we've entered into over the last 5 years, and we'll be renewing the contract the next 5 years, is actually going on or signing up an MOU or a memorandum of understanding with the county, where for a specific dollar amount, we agree to do X, Y, and Z. And what we then do with that dollar amount is pay for things like these facilities, pay for programs. One of the the programs that has been very highly funded in San Diego County is the Ag Water Quality Program, where we're looking at commercial agriculture and their interaction within the environment and protecting our watersheds. But that's where the county comes in then. It's basically now at this point in time, we have an MOU with the county, and that provides us with funding for the support of our office.
So are these textbooks used throughout all the, I think there's 45 counties in California that have the Master Gardener program, so all of them use this textbook? Or
The Master Gardener Handbook?
Right.
Every last one of them uses that Master Gardener Handbook.
So
If you didn't use that Master Gardener Handbook, do you know what kind of a political hot potato we would open? It's what the information that is part of that, and we'll talk about this when we talk about the statewide program, is that book actually came before the statewide program did. I think it first was introduced in 2002 as a teaching tool for the Master Gardener programs. As Susie has mentioned, when the classes started a couple decades ago, we didn't have that type of a resource. But yes, they all use that book. We like to use University of California publications. One thing that's nice about, for one thing, they're fantastic publications. It's a lot of great information, but because we're part of the university, and this is something that you all will be able to take advantage of starting today, is that anything that we purchase through the university, because they don't just give it to us for free, we do have to purchase them, we do get a 40% discount. So you as a Master Gardener, any publications that are created through the University of California, you would also get a 40% discount. And we've got catalogs to give to them. Judy, do you know when we plan to do that? Sometime down the road, not today. You're going to get too much information today. The one thing I would say is that once you do get your catalog, if you decide that there's something that you would like to purchase, check with me first, because we got some surprises in store for you down the road. And we'd hate for you to spend money on something that we may be going to give you down a little bit later. Okay?
Is the catalog available online?
Yes, the catalog is available online. Everything's available online. In fact, it's hard to get paper copies of the catalog anymore. We had to basically promise to be good, I guess. I don't know. My head just went in. Okay, any other questions? Yes, sir.
Go on Kindle. This book goes on Kindle.
No.
Is that book on? It's
On
on
Kindle,
Kindle.
no.
It's on a Kindle.
It's not electronic at all, which would be very nice to have.
That would be
yeah.
very nice.
Now, the one thing that I will say, and we had hoped that we would have this for your class, but unfortunately, with the publication, it just didn't happen. We were intending to get the latest version of the Master Gardener Handbook in January, and then that got backed up to August, which makes me think we're not going to see it till next year. So we were hoping to get the new handbook for you all. There will be a new handbook coming out. It's in review right now. That being said, there's a possibility that may be electronic, but it's still in process. So, on to any other questions? Let's move on then. The mission statement for the Master Gardener program, and I've put two statements up here, and I'll go ahead and just read those. To develop and support educational and research activities for the University of California Cooperative Extension, providing public education activities in the areas of home gardening, non-commercial horticulture, and pest management, and provide general support to the Cooperative Extension Office. The most important part of this statement is, and I think that as we were going through the interview process with you all, we really tried to reinforce that we are not a gardening organization, we are a volunteer education organization. And is that right? Hey Mo, where's the pointer? Is it the red thing? Non-commercial horticulture, home gardening. Real big, very important pieces for us to remember. You all are going to be working with non-commercial horticulture and home gardening. You're not going to be working with commercial. If anything comes in about commercial, that's not something that we deal with. That's something that we've got other academics within this office that deal with. So those are real important points. And then the second statement down here is one that I just kind of wrote out the other day, is we're primarily a volunteer organization that sends home horticulture information to the public. So that's what we do. And so what you all are going to do over the next 6 months is what? Learn everything there is in those books, right? Wrong. You're not going to do that. And this is just like when you all went to college. You didn't go to college to learn a subject matter. You went to college to learn how to learn. So that's what we're going to hopefully be providing you with, is the tools that you'll be able to research the information, that when somebody comes up and has a question about this funky looking plant or this weird looking insect or something that's happening to their favorite cactus, that you're going to be, if you don't happen to have a specialty in funky looking insects, that you'll be able to access the resources that you need to answer that question. Okay? Any questions about our mission statement?
Using what kind of information?
Using, I'm going to depart a little bit on that.
All right.
Okay? Using scientifically based information. Typically, they like to say University of California based information. Quite frankly, I don't have a problem with us using stuff from Florida State, Penn State, Texas A&M. In fact, Texas A&M has developed some of the most wonderful school gardening curriculum, the Junior Master Gardener program that's around. So primarily, do we want to go to University of California? Yeah, if it's University of California's out there and we can use it, we want to do that. But as long as it's, the most important thing is that it's scientifically based information. It's not what your grandfather, I mean, my favorite story when I go out and do IPM programs is that this wonderful way of getting gophers out, because everybody's a gopher problem. Anybody have a gopher problem? A couple of you have. A wonderful way of getting, I've heard this for years, of getting gophers out of your yard, is that if you take hair clippings, because it has the scent of humans on it, and you put it down in the hole, the gophers don't like that, and they'll go away because they smell human. I think that's more of a way in which some salon owners are getting their salons clean for free. There's no scientific research to that. On the other hand, is it snails and slugs that we kill with our beer? Yeah. I don't know if that's the way I want to use my beer, but so anyway, scientifically based information. Okay, let's go on to the next, because I'm starting to use up a little too much time. Okay, I want to tell you a little bit about some of the things that we get from the University of California Department of Agriculture and Natural Resources and from the Cooperative Extension Office. Cooperative Extension is part of a statewide program called the Department of Agriculture and Natural Resources. And basically, because we're agriculture, our origins were related to agriculture, we're really closely tied to 3 campuses. One of them is Berkeley, because Berkeley is the initial, the first campus at UC. The second, and I meant to look this up this morning on my diploma because I can't remember when it was, but the second campus is Davis, which started out as a field station for UC Berkeley. Does anybody know when Davis actually became a real campus? I'll look on my diploma tonight, and I'll tell you guys that next week, if I can find my diploma. It might be underneath the plant or something like that. The third campus is UC Riverside. So those are the 3 campuses that we are most closely related to. But there's some other organizations within the University of California that we rely on very heavily for the information that they create. The first one is the IPM office, or the Integrated Pest Management Office. That's an office that's located up in Davis. I'll talk a little bit more about that later on. And we're actually going to have an entire workshop that is devoted to IPM. And we're very fortunate to have one of the directors of the UC IPM program, Mary Louise Flint, who you'll probably, if you've read any of the UC publications, you'll see her name across all of them. Is going to be coming down to teach your class. First time she's come down to San Diego to teach a class, and she's retiring this year, so you guys are really lucky. The next class is, or the next department is the Center for Invasive Species Research, and this is actually located at the Riverside campus. IPM is up at Davis. The Center for Invasive Species Research is at the UCR campus. Things like the gold-spotted oak borer, polyphagus shot-hole borer, some of the new pests that are coming in, the Asian citrus psyllid and Wang-Wang-Bing. These are the things that they're looking at. In addition to our old favorite, the Argentine ant. Who knew? It's an invasive species. The next one is the Master Gardener Program. We have a statewide Master Gardener Program. They're located up at Davis, and we'll talk. I've got a slide to give you a little bit more information about them later. Then throughout the state, we have farm advisors and specialists that work on specific academic topics. And currently there are about 200, a little over 200 of the academics that work throughout the state. We've got 8 of them here in San Diego County. The numbers are starting to go up, but with the economic situation in California and the state over the last decade, we've actually been hit really hard. And I would say probably in the 1970s, we were at our height, and we had about 800, that's probably too high. I'd say it's maybe 650, 700 of these farm advisors and specialists. Now I've got a little bit over 200, but the numbers are starting to go back up, so that's a good thing. The university provides us with liability insurance. They give us administrative support, program support, office support, and obviously, so a lot of these are the things that either come from the university or come from the county that we use for those fundings that we receive for that MOU that I told you about. Oops, wrong way. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about our office here in San Diego, so you can kind of see where we all fit into it. We've actually got 2 offices in San Diego. Did anybody realize? Did you all realize that? There's an office that we have here, your office that you're in right now. It's where we have our hotline. And the master gardeners, because of me being housed in this office, this is where you guys consider your primary place to primary connection to the office, but we also have an office up in San Marcos. Within our program, we've got 8 academics. That's down a little bit. At one point, we had about 13, and as folks have retired, they haven't replaced them, but that's still real strong. That's probably one of the highest concentration of academics in any county, so you should feel very fortunate that we have that. These are, I've listed out here some of the academic fields that they work with, but specifically, I'm going to do that too. Before you guys go today, there is and actually, Frank, can you do me a favor? I'm very informal, if you haven't figured that out yet. Can you ask Roland to get me 50 or 48 copies of the office brochure, because I'd like them all to have an office brochure that's got all the academics in it. That one that's just, the trifold. In natural,
Scott, just confirm that with Brent.
Scott.
yes, thank you. Natural resources, Lee Johnson is our coastal resource management advisor. She works on boating issues, anything related to water quality in the coastal. We also have Carl Bell, who is an invasive weed specialist. Real good resource for you all with the work that you're going to be doing, because he's basically one of the go-to folks for weeds in Southern California. He actually has a regional appointment and deals with several counties. In commercial agriculture, we've got, anybody know Gary Bender here? Yeah, probably a couple of people know Gary Bender. He's our avocado, citrus, and subtropical fruit advisor. He's one of the individuals that's housed up in San Marcos. We also have Romero Lobo, who's a small farms advisor. Believe it or not, San Diego County, I think we're still number one county in the nation in the number of small farms. We have over 5,000 small farms in the county. That's really kind of cool, I think. So there's then nutrition, family, and consumer science. This would have been known as the old home ec advisor, maybe about 40 years ago. Patty Wooten Swanson is the individual who is our academic for that. She actually has a staff of youth and adult educators in nutrition. Once again, this is a real good resource for us, especially when we're looking at school gardens and the interaction with the teachers in the school gardens and what we can do. One of the staff people there, Stella Weaver, is absolutely incredible and a wonderful person to work with. So if you're interested in school gardens, that'll be somebody that you'll want to get connected with. We have a 4-H youth development program. Do you guys know 4-H? Know 4-H? I'm a product of the 4-H. I actually can tell people this. I'm the person that has the most longevity in this office, because I've actually been continually connected to this office for 41 years.
And yet you're only 30.
And yet I'm only 30. I think I look pretty good for 75. No, the youth development program, which is 4-H, but it's also additional programs. We've got folks that are a program that was off to a good start, which was a reading program. We have a 4-H military program. These are the youth development programs. And then the home horticulture. And I put home horticulture on the bottom. I'm not an academic within the university. I'm actually a program person. And that's what I do, is I help programs happen. But for the Master Gardener program to actually exist, we have to have an academic connected to our program. So our home horticulture advisor is actually one of the commercial agricultural advisors. And we're fortunate enough that that's also our county director. So we've got a tie-in to the top guy here in the office, and that's Jim Bethke. He is a floriculture and nursery advisor here in the county, and he's also an entomologist. If you ever want to talk to somebody about bugs and that gets really excited about bugs, put Jim Bethke on your list. Then we've got about 21 program staff, those individuals like myself that help administer these programs and do the outreach to the community. So that's what we have here in San Diego. Then on a statewide level, okay, I need to, because we're going to get into some.
Handed out now.
Yeah, you could go ahead and hand those out right now. That'd be great. Thank you so much, Brent. I appreciate that. So I can give you some of the accurate figures here. Okay, currently there's 45 Master Gardener programs in California. As I said before, 4 of those are similar to us and have 501(c) status. We've got about 6,000 Master Gardeners active right now in the program. And the figures are, and this is how important you are to our organization, to the University of California, and to the state of California, the public of California, that in 2011, Master Gardener programs put in over 336,000 hours of volunteer service helping educate the public about home gardening issues.
Wow.
So I think that's just like incredible. Our statewide program also puts on regional trainings. These are things that you'll be invited to. Typically, well, they take place all over the place. They're actually very responsive. Last year we did a workshop on citrus and avocado, and it was really focusing on what's taking place with the Asian citrus psyllid and Long Long Bing. And they scheduled one up in Riverside, which is great, but they're only going to do 3 in the state. And so one of the Master Gardeners here in San Diego said, gosh, it would be great if we could have one here in San Diego. A week later, we have one scheduled here in San Diego. So the state is really supportive of our program and really will do whatever they can to help us in educating ourselves about issues that we need to know about. Also, there are some state level trainings that will happen. Some of them are for staff. Some of them are for the board members, the officers like Paul and his group of folks. And then there's a statewide conference. It doesn't happen every year, but luckily for you, it's happening this year. It's going to be up in Yosemite, October 7th through the 10th. We'll have a statewide Master Gardener Conference. Now, there's also an international component to the Master Gardener program. And as far as I know, we're in Canada. Is there anything in England? I don't know why that sticks in my head, and it may be from my square dancing back days, because we have an international group in England. But okay, we're international because we got Canada and the U.S. Okay, so that's that. And then they'll do different projects. In fact, I think Mo is actually participating in one of the projects that is somewhat supported by the state Master Gardener program, and that's the All-Star, the UC Davis Arboretum All-Stars program. And that's where we're testing out different plants. We actually have 2 different test locations here in San Diego that Master Gardeners are coordinating. One's at the San Diego Botanic Garden, and the other one's at the Cuyamaca Water Conservation Garden. So different projects that will happen throughout the state. And we're really looking at being more involved with some of the things that happen on a state level. The state's only 6 years old, or 7, 8 years old, state program. So we're really starting to look at ways in which we in San Diego, which have been established and around for 30-some years, can help support and at the state level and have it grow. So, any questions about the state Master Gardener program?
Is the statewide conference available to everyone?
The question was, is the statewide conference available to everyone? Yes. I would assume that they probably have caps on some of the registrations, but it's open to all Master Gardeners. And you guys are a Master Gardener now. Even though you got that training thing on there, we got your $220 for Master Gardener.
I know most are volunteers, but how many paid staff for the master gardeners here?
Me.
Just you?
I'm the only one. And everybody wants to know, my salary actually comes from a couple different areas. Like everybody else in our program, we have to go out and write grants. I've got a program called Healthy Garden, Healthy Home, which I use Master Gardeners to help me out with, and we go out and we do ITM workshops. Nobody would come to an ITM workshop, but that's what I called it. So I do things like how to grow better salsa or how to control ants in your house. But basically, we do that type of activities, so that brings in some of the funding. I've actually applied for and received funding from the State Master Gardener Office to cover part of my salary. I've worked with the statewide IPM office. I'm the editor for their Green Bulletin newsletter, which is a wonderful newsletter, and you should sign up for it if you haven't already. But yeah, but I'm the only UC paid employee within the Master Gardener program. Just stretch energy. I have a question. Just stretch. Okay, let's move on to the next. I've got about 10 minutes. I'm going the wrong way. Okay, now the Master Gardener Association of San Diego County, as I said, it was established in 1993 as a 501c3. Our purpose is non-commercial horticulture education. The activities that we do include educational outreach, research, sorry about that, Gail. Scratch fundraising and write cost recovery. We don't do fundraising, we do cost recovery. That's one of the ways in which we can comply with the university's wishes for us remaining within the organization. And everything that we do must be related back to the organization, and we do not do anything political. That's the number one thing that we can do. And that's from both the university side and from the association side. We do not get involved with anything that's political. Okay. Now let me tell you a little bit about the structure of our organization, the Master Gardener Program. We've got actually 9 board members, plus me as an advisor. And Paul said 7 or 8. I think he might not have counted our parliamentarian, Kathy Perez. But there are 9 members plus myself as advisor coordinator. Jim Becky really kind of gives me free rein with the program, which is kind of nice. And he's always willing to come in and help out. But so even though it says advisor, it really should be plus coordinator, but whatever. We have about 38 committees within our organization. They look at administrative things, they look at education and outreach to the public, they look at member services to our organization, and they look at the financial development. And with the addition of you all as 48 new Master Gardeners, we have just over 300 members here in San Diego County. So that actually makes us one of the largest programs in California. Veteran Master Gardeners are just over 250 and there are another 48. So that's what our organization looks like. Okay, now what I want to do here, and over the next couple slides, I'm just going to run through them really quickly, but what I've done is some resources that are available to you, and these, at the beginning of the program where I said, I want to tell you about a few things that you can take home, and it's not homework, but to start your research on finding out different information, we're going to look at some of these websites. Some of this stuff I'm going to go past really quickly because we're going to cover it later with some of the other Master Gardeners in later sessions today. I need my other one. This is okay. This is our statewide Master Gardener. Or I'm sorry. This is the UCANR website, and what I would encourage you all to do is to go to this website, which is www.ucanr.edu, and look over here in the very center. You'll see a, that's why, because I've got it backwards. Okay. This gardening tab, and click on that, and look at the different, the amount of research or the amount of information that's available there for you. between the California Backyard Orchard, California Gardening, the California Master Gardener Program. Take a look at that tab. So that's the first one that I'd like to have you take a look at. And then when you're done with that, look at the rest of the site and see what are some of the other things that are involved with the Division of Agriculture and Natural Resources here in California. I think you'll find it's a fascinating organization. This is something that you're going to find out a little bit later, and I won't talk a lot about it because Byron's going to do a wonderful job covering all of this, but you are going to be given access to the UC portal with lots of really good information. The one thing I do want to that I'm going to ask you to do is that when you take advantage of this, I want you to take a look here at two different pieces. There's a lynda.com learning. It's an online learning service that you all can take advantage of for free. All kinds of different programs, from software to whatever. And then a repository. This repository is a collection of UC publications and photographs, and it keeps growing more and more and more every day as we get things more electronically. So take a look at those two things in your repository, or in the portal. The volunteer management system. This is something that, once again, Byron's going to be talking about, but this is where we keep track of a lot of the statistics for our program here in San Diego, and we make things available to you. And the one thing I want to have you guys take a look at is down here, there's a thing that says documents presentations. I'm going to ask each one of you to go on there and click on that. Once you get access to it, you'll have access to this when you leave the building today. And check out our bylaws. Maybe not the most exciting reading, but I think it'll give you a real good picture about our organization. So take a look at that. State Master Gardener Program. They have their website. The website is camastergardeners.ucdavis.edu. Now, actually, I'm going to bring a point that I'll bring up. One of the things that's happened with the branding issue, branding, marketing, and all of that over the last year is that they've changed a lot of our web addresses, email addresses from UC Davis, which is our home campus, to UC A&R. Both of those work. So if you type in UC Davis or UC A&R, it's still going to get you where you need to go. So if you see something like this and it says UC Davis and then you type it in and it comes out UC A&R, you're going to the same place. Okay? They just do that to confuse people. Just take a look around here. Look at some of the stuff that is available through our statewide office. This piece right here, this is our local website, the San Diego County Cooperative Extension Office. And this houses information on all of those 8 academics that I talked to and all the programs we have here in San Diego. We've actually got a wonderful IT guy. His name is Ryan Crayson. He's doing a really good job of really pulling us into the 21st century with regards to our website and the social media stuff and all that. So take a look here and see where we're at. This information that will be most closely related to what you all do, you're going to find here under the Home Horticulture and Master Gardener Association tabs. So start out there, check out the rest.
You have a question?
Now, question?
Is any of this in Spanish?
We are in the process of converting materials into Spanish, and we've actually done some in other languages. Probably the department that is the most progressive for that would be our UC IPM office. And you'll notice that as you go through the lobby, that our quick tip cards, those little brief information cards, many of those are available in English and Spanish. We've had some, not very many, but some of our pest notes have been translated into Spanish. And I'll be real, I'll pat myself on the back for this one, and I'll show it to you after the break. One of the tools that we've created here in San Diego through our IPM program and through the Healthy Garden, Healthy Home are 2 different wheels, which you guys are going to get later in the program. One's on identifying common insects in San Diego, one's on identifying common weeds in San Diego, and it's done both in English and in Spanish. So it's not only providing the information in English and Spanish, but it's also a communications tool. Do we have a long way to go? Yeah, we've got a lot of information to go. One of the things that I think we're very fortunate with is that one of our advisors here in San Diego County, actually two of our advisors, one is Romero Lobo, who's our small farms advisor, and his Spanish is his first language. And then Cheryl Willen, who is our IPM advisor, is, I wouldn't say fluent, but I've sat in a workshop with her and seen her do a workshop in Spanish. So if you can do a workshop in Spanish, I guess I would say that that's fluent. But she wouldn't mind me saying that she struggles with some of it, but she puts in a good effort. So good question, thank you. And I'm almost out, so I need to quit. Now, we as part of the Master Gardener Association, we also have our own standalone website. We've got an external site and we've got an internal site. This is our external site. You guys probably accessed that when you were looking at signing up for your new class. So you probably don't need to learn any more about that, right? Then we've got our external site. This is what we use for a lot of the housekeeping activities within the program. Okay, the last thing I want to do is just real briefly go through policies, procedures, and expectations. As a class member, you're expected to be at each one of our classes. When you finish your program, you will be giving us 50 hours of volunteer service for the training that you're going to be receiving. Some of that volunteer service can take place before you actually become a certified Master Gardener and graduate. The only thing that I want to request is that as you're going through the class, that you're not giving out information. You can participate in committee work type activities, but we don't want you to be actually handing out horticulture information until you've actually graduated. That's part of the policy within the state program. Code of conduct. You're all adults. You all signed a code of conduct. But I'd also like to ask each one of you to keep a copy of it with you, because it's real important for me and for you and for us as an organization that we not only respect each other, but we respect those in the community. And so the Code of Conduct was created by the University of California really to help us put our best foot forward. And so I just wanted to give everybody a copy of the document that you signed, so you can just keep it close, okay? Bylaws I've already talked about. I've asked you to go ahead and take a look at those. And then the last thing I want to tell you about is that during your training program, the next 6 months, I'm going to ask you to do a couple online trainings. And these are things that you're going to, we'll be sending out a survey asking you to sign up for it. We'd like to do one on safety for you as a Master Gardener. That's some of the OSHA stuff. We'd like to do one on harassment prevention, and we'd like to do one on diversity issues. And so I'm going to ask each one of you to take those. They're going to be online. Typically, they're less than an hour. You can do them at home, but just keep your eyes out for those. Okay? Any other questions?
Would you recommend we bring laptops for future classes?
I would definitely recommend that you bring laptops for future classes, and we may address this later in today's training under somebody else's. But when we get to I'll be real honest with you. The Wi-Fi in this office, I can't use that word here, it's not very good. But over in the training room, I think we've got a connection for, well, it's better than it is here. It's much better than here. So, but yeah, definitely laptops are helpful, and you will be able to sign up for the Wi-Fi over in the other training rooms. Other questions? In the back.
Should we be bringing our books to class, or will the reading be done before each class?
I'm going to let your curriculum coordinator field that question. So that's something that the question was, should you be bringing your book to class? You need exercise, right? Yeah. Bring your book to class or not. I'll let Cindy go ahead and cover that when she talks about hers. Okay. If there aren't any other questions, once again, I want to thank you all for agreeing to be part of our program. I'm very excited about working with you over the next 6 months, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.